Chapter 3 Flat Earth and the Truman Show. Does Truman represent a flat Earth truther? If you haven't heard of the Truman Show, you may be living in Sea Haven. Meet Truman Burbank, the star of his own television show, and he doesn't even know it. Truman's journey into the unknown begins when a satellite falls from the sky which says Sirius. Sirius is the brightest star in the sky, and it falls into Truman's reality. In a sense, this is an indication of the beginning of his journey into illumination with respect to the nature of his reality. The parenthetical reads 9 Canis, referencing Canis Major, or the dog constellation, as it is composed of 9 stars, Sirius A and B, and 7 others. Interestingly, and perhaps unrelatedly, the Dogon cosmology may have indicated Sirius was a binary star system before scientists ever confirmed it, a theory actor-musician Saul Williams endorsed in an interview on NPR. Dog symbolism is replete throughout the movie. The neighbor's dog that Truman is afraid of near the beginning of the film is called Pluto, whom is the god of the underworld and represents hidden realities and transformation from death to rebirth. And whenever Truman buys magazines, someone in front of him in line always buys magazines about dogs, which seems to reference what Truman is just behind or catching up to. Dog is also an anagram for God, and Truman's fear of dogs could be construed as his fear of discovering the truth about himself as a child of God. It could also simply be a metaphorical statement that Mr. Nice Guy Truman hasn't confronted the shadow of his reality, which, when he does, brings out wild and non-placid character traits previously unseen. As Truman suspects greater and greater levels of deception amidst his reality, he comes to realize he has more and more power. For example, while Truman is on the beach contemplating this world, the rain is summoned just for him and only around him. Truman jumps to the right and the rain follows, and he has a moment where he believes he is controlling the rain. In the ancient Vedas, the dog star was called Sukra, the rain god or rain star. Hence, Truman has an experience where he feels like he commands the rain as a god. In his book, Exploring the World of Mathematics, author John Hudson Tyner notes that Egyptian astronomers observed that when the sun set in the west and the dog star appeared at the same time in the east, it signaled the coming flooding of the Nile, after which they planted their crops. The dog star Sirius is affiliated with fertility and hydration, as well as illumination, as it is the brightest star. As a young boy, Truman wants to be an explorer, but the controllers of the show do their best to dissuade this by sowing doubt into his dreams, beginning in elementary school class with a teacher whom says, "You're too late, everything has already been discovered," and then she pulls down a Mercator map of the world. Also, a boy, Truman encounters a ferocious dog which stands on the dock, blocking his way across the sea. And finally, the coup d'etat of his father drowning while sailing with a young Truman in a rainstorm. This fear is exploited later when Truman attempts to take the ferry across the sea. He looks down and sees a submerged rowboat, a brilliant piece of psychologically operating set design, reigniting his childhood trauma and causing Truman to return from whence he came. In this way, what lies beyond the moat about Sea Haven represents the unknown. And the one thing Truman does not even know, he doesn't know. In a literal sense, the name Truman represents the true man, whom inherently wants to discover his reality, but whom butts up against a worldview that claims there is nothing left for him to explore. This fits hand in glove with the modern event of flat earth theorists whom want to explore Antarctica and the North Pole, or whom simply desire more transparency surrounding research in both locations, but whom are restricted from learning such information and from actually going there. In this sense, the sea, which Truman is prevented from crossing, could be seen as the ocean that surrounds the continents and separates the mainland from Antarctica, blocking flat earth theorists' ability to explore further, if at all possible. In high school, Truman briefly falls in love with a truther. A truther is like a conspiracy theorist who's probably not wrong, whom infiltrates the show wearing a button which asks, "How will it end?" Truman has a brief moment of happiness with this lady, and then they take her away, and the father says they are going to Fiji. The truther honks the car horn, doing her best to create distortion while Truman is lied to, and even screams, "Don't believe him." Truman says, "I'll see you in school." The truther replies, "School is not real." After this episode, Fiji becomes a fixation for Truman, as it represents both the destination of his foreshortened first love and as far away from Sea Haven as one can go before returning. The Truman Show alternates between showing us Truman's first-person POV and zooming out to reveal Christof, the creator of a television show, and how he engineers Truman's reality. Truman represents the first baby ever adopted by a corporation, and one among several, as Christof notes, but the only one whom arrived on cue. The Truman Show as a TV phenomenon is also a worldwide sensation. By jump-cutting to a diverse array of viewers across the world, The Truman Show highlights the everyman within Truman and suggests that he is this proletariat, one which clearly depicts a filial-esque affection for Truman as his loyal fans. Many viewers even leave the show on at night. Incidentally, The Truman Show's logo has a big ball Earth on it, which ostensibly represents the fact that they've built this world, but when viewed through a flat Earth lens also seems to indicate that the fog globe is part of the show. Moreover, it doesn't seem to serve any other purpose than just being there. For example, why is the O not woven into show? Rather, it's just kind of slapped on like a graffiti tag and in a salient position on Truman's show, which is why it made the cover. Artistically, would it not have been more interesting to show the dome of Sea Haven? Could this be a deliberate hint that Truman represents a flat Earth truther whom is pulling back the curtain on a fog globe reality? As Truman penetrates deeper into the rabbit hole that is being presented to him, he begins to see the nonsense that is being spoken around him. His wife's unusually timed product placements now begin to look more and more absurd to his awakening mind. Indeed, his life becomes somewhat absurdist. Note his irreverence in this scene of his development. This seems analogous as to how, as we wake up, advertisements lay less and less claim over our sense of self, our inherent validity, and our overall purpose. Like Truman, we may exclaim, "Who the hell are you talking to?" Or, "What the hell are you talking about?" And perhaps more innocuously, "That's amazing." Another clue that Truman may represent a flat Earth truther is the deleted scene shown above, where Truman actually inspects a map which depicts a circularly enclosed world. It is difficult to see, but you can clearly make out a circle map on the top half of the page. Is this a reference to some type of flat Earth map? Maybe, maybe not, but it certainly does appear worth considering for the argument at hand. Ultimately, Truman's will cannot be thwarted, and he makes it to the edge of his reality. Christof, the television show's creator, nearly kills Truman in the process, saying, "He was born on television, wasn't he?" As he journeys toward the edge, Truman holds in his pocket an image of the truther whom he fell in love with, who had the button that read, "How will it end?" The force of Truman's belief finally trumps any fear of death, and he resolves to pursue the unknown at all costs. There is a deep poetry in the second-to-last major shot of the film, Truman walking along a fake backdrop, running his fingers along a set design of painted white and wispy clouds. The seeker is now able to touch the edge of his cage, thus realizing its limitation. The last clue that Truman may represent a flat Earth truther is that the exterior of this container is circular, and could be considered a reference to the allegedly ringed nature of the Antarctic periphery, which Admiral Byrd described as a belt of ice 1,200 feet thick and with plateaus of ice 10,000 feet high, end quote. In conclusion, Truman exits this fake reality as seamlessly as he had entered it as a baby, offering with both panache and poise his famous tagline, "In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night." End of chapter 3.
Met you in the night. 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 And we walked into the light. And we walked into the light. Holy, holy light.
Chapter 4: Flat Earth and Aliens. Why do astrophysicists and presidents advocate for aliens?